Welcome to Authors Revealed. I'm Becky Anderson. I'm so excited. We have one of the stars from Pretty Little Liars. It's Keegan Allen with his photojournalism book. It's called Life, Love, Beauty. Well, Keegan, welcome to Naperville and Anderson.
Thank you so much for having me here, Becky.
Well, I can't believe it. This book has only been out literally less than a week, right? Mm-hmm. So what are you hearing? What are you feeling? I mean, this is your debut author. You're out in the world. So how does that feel?
It feels great. It's exciting. Yeah. I mean, to be able to share something that I've been working on for decades, essentially, to be able to share that with the world is exciting in every single way.
So what are you hearing from your fans? Because this is something you're showing them. I mean, from all of those who love you as an actor, mm-hmm. but now they're seeing this art. I mean, all these different mediums you work in, and now they're seeing you with this.
Yeah, I mean, well, ever since before I've ever started my training as an actor, I was really obsessed with photography, and being able to kind of share photography and share images, captions, musings, poetry, all that. Was a passion of mine because I was an only child. I grew up with two very artistic parents that were very supportive, and I didn't have any social media back then. There was no internet.
Right,
it was
sure.
only, just my camera, my pets. I had, so many pets. And
there's some great pictures.
Yeah.
The praying mantis one.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a praying mantis that would walk around my shoulders, and a pet chicken, and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So I just was really with myself, and it's an experience to be able to share this book, mm-hmm. which is so personal, but also in a way that I feel like it's personal to anybody who picks it up in a certain way where they can flip to any page, and feel something.
Well, I think that's the beauty of photography, though, because you see it with your eye, but it can be interpreted just like any great work of art. You interpret it yourself.
Yeah.
And the emotional side of it. So anyone who looks at this book is going to bring their experiences to the images, too.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely believe that photography is one of the most important means of human communication.
Yeah. So tell us, where did the seed start to put this book together? Because I love the way it's formatted and designed with all the different elements you put in it. So where did the little spark start to do this book?
Well, so my dad let me borrow his Leica M6 when I was 10 years old, or I was about to turn 10. It was like 2 days. Yeah. And I had kind of shown an interest in photography, mm-hmm. and composition of photography with him at a very young age, and he was very supportive and let me borrow it. And I would take these photos and I'd paste them in this little photo journal that I kept, and I kind of tentatively called it Life and Love. And I would share these photos similar to how we now share on social media, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and we put the captions with them, and we share with our friends, family, and even strangers. I would do that in a very archaic way with this composition notebook. And over the years now, working in Hollywood with such amazing people, mm-hmm. and people that I have such, I look up to so much, and have such reverence for, I put them in the book as well. James Franco. I have all my cast and crew and colleagues, candid behind-the-scenes shots of production, stuff like that, and also musings and thoughts and poetry coupled with images that impact me. Because this book is half of what you see, and then the other half is the interaction.
Right. So that first camera, when you got it, and you said you were 9 or 10 years old, what was that like? Those first few pictures you took, because I know there's a really incredible picture in there during the LA riots.
Oh yeah. And
you can see all the smoke in the distance. And then the one I really liked was you selling Pokemon cards.
Oh yeah.
A self-portrait.
Yeah, that one was fun.
So some great pictures like that. So what did it feel like? You have this camera, mm-hmm. and you're that young, and you're taking these pictures. So.
It's something that I still, I try and I put my finger on it, and it just boils down to an obsession of capturing images and understanding that it's like stepping into a time machine. I'm such a deeply sentimental person, mm-hmm. and I think I got that from my father, of really, really living in those moments and staying with them, because we only leave behind the memories, and these moments are so important to us. So, that first image in the book is of the LA riots. I was so young, and I had my dad help me take that photo. And that was the first memory I've ever had in my life. That wasn't, just
really?
that was the first memory.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then the Pokemon cards, I at that point I had very much gotten into photography and doing these self-portraits, similar to how people take selfies now.
Yeah.
I was very much into proving that I was in certain places
Right.
or I had done things. So I would set the camera up on a tripod, and I would have either someone click the shutter, or I would put it on one of those self timers,
Sure, right.
and do self portraits
Yeah,
that
because
way.
that one's so cool because it's your back we see, and
Yeah.
you're sitting at the table,
Yeah.
which is so cool.
And the panoramic
Well,
X-Pan
yeah, and all the other
Hasselblad.
people in the shot. It's a really cool picture.
Yeah, it was
So,
fun.
so there's also pictures of you took of yourself, some more selfies, but because you wanted to impress a girl at school.
Yeah.
Those were interesting
Yeah,
pictures.
there's Crystal Geyser water bottles back in the day. It had this topographical map of Mount Whitney, and she kind of said, "Oh, I really want to climb Mount Whitney," and so I went home and I was, "Mom, can you take me to Alabama Hills and let me climb the base of Mount Whitney?" And she's like, "Sure." So we went out to Alabama Hills and she parked her car and had a picnic, and then I walked up into the base of the mountains and
Right.
took all these self-portraits, printed out a contact sheet and brought it to the girl to prove that I went there.
And what did she
It worked
think?
out great. She was my girlfriend for an entire week, so
Hey,
it worked out.
it worked. It worked. So you mentioned your mom and your dad, and your mom was a painter, and your dad was a stage and film actor.
Yeah.
How did their artistic lives influence you? Like you said, you remember that first photograph, but their look at the world. You know how, especially being an actor and expressing yourself, but also being a painter in the visual world. What did that influence you?
It influenced me in the way that they were just extremely supportive and always looking at the world through a very artistic eye. And it was a collective eye. They very much loved each other and loved me, and it was only us. So we would go on road trips across America. We'd go on fly fishing tours. We would do things together as a family. And because of how deeply sensitive both of them were, they kind of encouraged me to look at the world in a different way than media today allows people to look at the world. It was more about the moment and understanding and living in the moment, being present and focusing on that. Yeah.
So you mentioned how important photographs are, and really sort of cataloging not only moments in history, but just who we are as humans, and capturing things. What is it about photography? Because I believe this too, that can capture a moment so much better than other mediums can in some ways. And looking at, I like black and white very much, And I think you do. There's a lot of black and white photography in this book. So how do you feel about that in photography? And comparing color, and how do you like to work with black and white? And with digital, it's so much easier in some ways. But in film, using film in a camera, it's a little different. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, to go full circle on all of those, what you're saying, I do love black and white because in the absence of color, we're able to focus on the composition and the actual means and realism of the photograph straight into the soul. You know what I mean? You capture the soul of the photo. And color is incredible too. And working with a film medium, there is this romantic process of emulsification with film that I've always enjoyed, the chemical process and the waiting period. Because now with this digital algorithmic expression of selfies or instant taking of photos, and I'm not a camera snob, I still take photos on my iPhone. But with that instant gratification, there's something lost in translation. I would take these self-portraits and I would allow myself to kind of marinate in the thought of what it would look like, or any of photos actually. And when you finally get that contact sheet, when you finally have developed that film, it's like opening a present, and you get the fruits of your labor. And sometimes you might open it prematurely and ruin the whole roll as well.
Oh yeah.
So it's also it's exciting. There's something thrilling and there's something at risk at all times with that. Also, what you were saying is to take photos and to live in that world. Images impact all of us so deeply because a photo is, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So yeah, it does. It really impacts all of us differently.
Yeah. And I think, it's sad to me to hear that so many photographers are being laid off at some of the major newspapers or magazine, where the journalism, where those images are iconic to our history. And because there's something about that photo capturing that way. It's different than, we all take pictures on our phones and we do stuff like that. But there's something about setting up a photo and capturing something in a way that makes it so different sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So your poetry and lyrics in this, I was wondering, and I know you're a musician too. So have you set some of your poetry or the lyrics in the book to any music?
Yes, a lot of it is actually, a lot of them are songs, and most of them, could possibly be songs eventually. That's kind of how I like to write. I like to write the lyrics first and then find a composition and then write the music with either guitar or piano and kind of find that melodic sound to them. But yeah, a lot of them are.
Now I noticed you brought one of your favorite cameras with you, and I saw, I don't know where I saw on some website, you're doing an event at a Leica store in LA, which is so cool. And Leica, everyone knows, are such brilliant cameras. So this is one of your favorites.
Yeah.
So how often do you shoot with real film? Do you do?
I've shot in the past year with real film so much, and it's not just with Leicas. I love shooting with Contax T2, T3, the Hasselblad X Pan, which shoots that long, which is also in the book. Shoots the long panoramic strips, and also. But I love the Leica. It's my favorite camera to shoot on because it's portable. It really is like the throwback to the rangefinder era of portable photojournalism. And I just carry it with me everywhere. It really feels like from the moment that I remember taking my first shot on my father's Leica, it was an experience that kind of chained me to that camera. To feel like it was an extension of myself. Yeah. So I just always, from now on, and I'm really excited about that Leica store event.
No, I saw that. I go, that's way cool.
I look up to them so much. So.
Talking about black and white photography, and one of the images I really liked, and well, some of the ones you took is, I know you're going to be in the new movie Sound and the Fury, and you took some pictures of some of the cast, and in some ways those look like pictures from that era because of the black and white. But the one I really liked was the little boy, the little toddler pushing a suitcase in the airport, which was really good. And it's going back to what black and white does for the composition and the contrast.
Yeah, it isolates the subject. Yeah, completely. Yeah, it was really, I love those moments, and shooting in black and white is definitely one of my favorite things. I have a camera that's it's a niche kind of camera. It only shoots in black and white digitally, but what's really cool about it is it's called the Leica Monochrome, and it's monochrome without the E on the end, if anybody's that nerdy that they want to look this up. But it's incredible because it's able to shoot in black and white, and then what I like to do is take it into a certain photo lab, and similar to what Sebastio Stelgado did for Taschen, he did this amazing book where he spanned, I think it was 9 years of digital photography, and then took certain digital scans, replicated them on film strips, went into the darkroom, dodged and burned and contrasted and added all this, and came out with this incredible book that looks like film. It is film essentially, but it was shot digitally. And there's a lot of images in there that were shot digitally and then put out onto film. So that was cool too.
So you started acting when you were 13?
Or
was it? Tell us a little bit about that and how you got into that. I know your dad probably had a lot of influence on you.
Yeah, growing up with a thespian, with a very raconteur of just charm and essence and all of his characters, I would watch him kind of transform in our living room, and go on. We would recite Shakespeare at the dinner table, and it was very creative family. So I was always kind of drawn into that world of my dad. Was my dad, and then he would be doing a stage play and he would transform. So I got into that, and I really loved taking photos, and I was really into video production, and I guess it was just an accumulation of being behind the camera and seeing people in front of the camera and being drawn into that world and saying, I think I can do this. Let me try it out. Let me get on stage. And I love plays and I love the stage, and I just finished doing a stage play in New York called Small Engine Repair. That was really fun. So that medium really spoke to me, and I just started in theater and got carried away with it, and then the television show is amazing, and film, and it's great.
So going back to your photography, though, I was just wondering, how does that inform your acting? Being behind that lens, looking at something and looking at how something is set up, the landscape, whatever you're shooting. Does that influence when you're acting? And have you ever wanted to get into cinematography and to be a cinematographer and be behind the camera and shooting a film?
Oh yeah, totally. It's something that, I mean, originally that was something that I wanted to get into, and I think it's so important as an actor to understand that world that is focused on you, to know you know, what the equipment is that's shooting us, that's focusing, what the apertures are, what the lighting is, what the white balance is. All of these things really play a part, and also, you know, what the focal length is. Are you here? Are you here? You know, just before we started, it was like, is this a 50 or is this a 35 or is this a 75 or 80? It's all important, I think. And when we're shooting, when we do turnarounds, I'll get behind the camera and I'll see what the cameramen do. It's always exciting to me.
Yeah. So, Pretty Little Liars, your castmates, they must feel very comfortable around you now because you're always taking pictures, right? So it's almost like there's no camera there at all. So you capture them in very candid moments. So, but is there any that you prefer to take pictures of, or is it just the whole cast, or any particular situations you like to take pictures of them in?
It's usually whoever wants to pose for the picture that I love taking photos of, and everybody's really comfortable now at this point with me taking photos of them. Since season 1, I've always had my camera with me, so now it's just it's almost as if, you know, I walk in and I'm just with clothes on. There's no difference with the camera.
Yeah. So Toby Cavanagh, your character. And I'm sure you get this question all the time from a lot of the fans of the show, but how much of him is you?
Actually, not that much. I've drawn a lot of inspiration from him, the romance that he has within him. I'm sometimes baffled by. It's really, it's almost like the great love story, fable, romantic writing. That comes from Marlene King, who's amazing, who's just this amazing show developer, showrunner, and writer of Pretty Little Liars, along with Oliver Goldstick, Joseph Doherty, and all these amazing writers. But the character, I'm not that much like him, but I do enjoy stepping into his shoes and learning about, you know, what he thinks is romantic. Okay.
I know you mentioned, you know, all the different types of social networking. I know you do a lot of Twittering and, you know, Instagram and all those different types. And putting images out there is so different than what you're doing with a camera and real film. But they definitely play a role with imagery.
Oh yeah.
So how do you feel about all those different types of social networking? Because like you said, when you got that camera when you were 10, there was no such thing.
Yeah, there was no such thing, you're right. And it was all about human contact and communication. And that's why I kind of named the book what it is we all as humans go through existence with these themes: life, love, and our perception of beauty. And life, the creation of it or the end of it; love, the creation of it or the pining of it or the loss of it, and all these things. And I very much wanted to share that with the book. And I think we all do that collectively on social media every single day in some way, shape, or form, whether it's with our families sharing personal pictures of our kids, our friends, something that's funny, that we see a funny cat video or a dog video, we tag people in it. And that all falls into that realm of sharing. And I think that for us as entertainers, not just to self-promote, but to also connect completely with our fan bases in a very personal way. Because I look at my fan base and my following as friends, as people that I am connecting with personally, and I think they feel the same way.
So you have 2 films coming out soon, both directed by James Franco, which you mentioned earlier, and one is it's based on a Faulkner novel, which you know, The Sound and the Few are very cool, and also Butowski is based on, you know, Charles Butowski, the poet and the writer. What was it like being involved in those films and having James Franco as a director?
Well, James is like a northbound train with no stops. That he is a genius, and he's very committed to every element of his craft, whether it's writing as an author with Palo Alto Stories, which I did with him as well, and Gia Coppola, or whether it's, you know, doing poetry, he did California Childhood, or writing novels, Actors Anonymous. and directing all these films constantly. And I just did Zeroville with him and Megan Fox, and that was incredible. Also shot on film, very cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
And his constant, he can retain everything that he takes in too. So his work ethic is really amazing. And so working with someone that has that work ethic is exciting. Bukowski was one hell of a ride, because we were learning so much about this troubled writer. Charles Bukowski was just a troubled youth growing up, and I played Jimmy Haddix in it, who was essentially the influence that drove him to drink, as that could be interpreted. And that was a really fun ride, and also a really dark ride too.
Yeah,
So it was great.
The pictures in the book of the filming of the film, and the makeup and everything that people did, those are some great photographs in there.
Yeah, it's crazy to see what he went through as a child with all that acne and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the recreation of it takes hours and hours in hair and makeup for Jacob Loeb, who portrayed him brilliantly. Yeah.
So what do you hope people will take away from Life, Love, and Beauty, this book?
Well, I hope that anybody in any walk of life can open this book at any place and at any point in their life, and either experience a retrospect of their own growing up, of their youth, of something in the past, something in the present, or something that they can focus on for their future and be influenced by. And also just to be, able to see photos that really have impacted me, and maybe draw out something that they can take home with them within themselves. Like I said, these are elements that we all deal with, and it's special to be able to share that. And being on this book tour and kind of sharing this book with everybody in real life, and seeing people in front of me come up to me and recite the poems in the book, off book, totally memorized, and
cool.
also, their own interpretations I'm elated and so excited for what comes next.
Okay, these interviews end with a little quiz, so no pressure. You know all the answers.
Okay.
All the answers. So it's kind of a lightning round. Okay.
All right.
So, do you remember a book that you loved when you were a kid?
Catcher in the Rye.
Okay. How about any book you've read your whole life that you've been an evangelist for that you could not tell enough people they had to read it?
Same thing, Catcher in the Rye, but also, wait, what else? I would keep telling people, oh man, I'm going to be upset now later that I don't remember.
Okay.
There's so many books that I feel that way about. Okay. I guess Autobiography of a Yogi is really good.
Okay.
And I've been telling people to read that.
Okay. Okay, who's your favorite photographer of all time? I know that's hard to whittle it down.
I mean, it goes, sentimentally, my father and my mother. But
that's cool.
if we were talking about professional photographers, Bruce Davidson, Bruce Gilden, Bruce Weber, Annie Leibovitz, Ansel Adams, I really love that. That's like the list right there.
Yeah. Okay, how about a favorite poet?
Favorite poet, Walt Whitman.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, favorite film?
And Bob Dylan. Favorite film is The Wild One with Marlon Brando.
Okay. Okay, how about TV shows that you watch?
I love Game of Thrones. I love everybody watched Breaking Bad, right? And that was like such a great show. Still love South Park. I have that South Park humor. And I love watching Family Guy too.
Okay.
It's fun.
And your favorite episode of Pretty Little Liars?
Probably the Noir episode, the one that's also featured in the book, because I feel like that cinematically was just incredibly shot.
Okay. All right. 100%. You did well.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. I wish all quizzes were that easy.
It was meant to be that. But Keegan, thank you so much for talking with me, and congratulations on Love, Life, and Beauty.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Great conversation with Keegan Allen, one of the stars from Pretty Little Liars, about his lifelong love of photography. A wonderful book called Life, Love, Beauty. Thanks for joining me on Authors Revealed.